Hi, you guys. It is Thursday, September 24th, 2020. My name is Doris, and this is the Knit and Purl Podcast, episode 207, Foes and False Positives. You can find, sorry, I got lost there. You can find the show notes for this podcast on knitandpurl-doris.blogspot.com. The Purl is Pearl. In social media, I am One Fine Cow, all spelled out, on Ravelry and Twitter. I am One Fine Design, the number one, on Facebook and Etsy. And I am Doris M. Smith, all lowercase, and smooshed together on Instagram. This podcast has a Ravelry group, which is the Knit and Purl Podcast group. So I said all that, but you don't have to remember any of that. You can use the handy dandy down bar below with links to the show notes, with links to the Ravelry group and my Etsy store. If you click on the show notes, and at the top of the show notes underneath the video are the links to my social medias. You can go over there, click and follow me over there, or just, you don't even have to follow me. You can just, stalk me in those areas. Okay, every podcast I do a birthday shout out for the Ravelry group, and this will be from the 16th of September to the end of the month, which is coming up fast. The birthdays, there were two. Schmoofy, I think that's how you pronounce it. Smoffi. Her birthday was on the 19th of September. And with Buttons, her birthday is the 28th of September. So happy birthday, ladies. I hope that you did have or will have a wonderful birthday, that you got good gifts, that you got to spend time with your friends and family, social distancing, mask, whatever, or virtually, and that by all means you had your version of a birthday cake and enjoyed a big hunkin' slice. If you have a birthday during this time and you don't share that on Ravelry, the information, happy birthday to you as well. Okay, story of the week, stash enhancement. No stash. And if you don't follow me on all the social medias, from last 2 weeks ago, I was sent home because I tested positive for COVID. However, on Monday, I found out that the test was a false positive, because when they did the test, they also did another test and sent it off. Because the first test was a rapid test. The second test was one that they sent to a lab. It came back, and the news was that it was a false positive, so I went back to work on Tuesday. So I am working daily with active COVID patients. I am taking all the necessary precautions, the N95, face shield, gloves, gown, foot protector, the shoe covers, all of that. We're being safe. I am very thankful for the privilege of caring for them and watching them successfully recover. Yes. God is good. And I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid of the virus. I know that if I protect myself and do everything I need to do and take some emergency every day, I'm going to be okay. God is good and I'm not afraid. However, I'm more afraid of what's happening in our world today. And I would ask you to please do your own research and vote your convictions. I don't want to be political, but I feel the need to say that. Also, in the last 2 weeks, I took off this past Monday because I was going to take Ted to have his colonoscopy. Well, on the weekend, I started getting a really bad toothache. And by Sunday night, I realized that I was not going to be able to take Ted to get his colonoscopy. So I called his sister and she took him to have it done. Thank you, Louise. And I went to the dentist and had to have a tooth pulled. If you can notice, I'm still a little swollen on this side. Yeah. Whatever, it happens. Anyway, in other news, I did some knitting and crocheting and finishing in the last 2 weeks, so shall we get on to the foes? Yes? I finished the Tecumseh sweater, which is a paid-for pattern on Ravelry by Caitlin Hunter. The yarn that I used was this big ball. I have some things to say about this yarn. And I also used a mandala in the color Gnome as the contrast and color work. So this yarn, I weighed it yesterday or the day before when I finished the sweater. This had 700 grams of yarn. When I weighed this yesterday, it has 356 grams left, which means I used less than half of this, which also means there's another sweater in this ball of yarn. Another thing about this yarn, you guys, this sweater was knit from top to bottom and the sleeves. There was not one single knot or break in this yarn. Oh my gosh. Even with expensive yarns, there's knots. There's not one single knot so far in this yarn, and I knit a sweater. Wow. And it wasn't it wasn't an expensive yarn. I think I got it from Mary Maxim for $21. Okay, what else do I need to tell you about? Needles I used were US 4s and US 6s. I used the Eddie Turbo 40-inch circular. I love it. So I'll back up, stand up, and twirl around. I don't know what size I knitted this sweater. Well, I guess I could kind of figure it out. But hang on, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I knitted the extra large in this sweater. And I knitted it according to pattern, except I used one skein, or about one skein of the mandala, and let the yarn do the changing and striping. I also added an extra row of crosses at the bottom just to kind of break up the monotony of stuffing it. So I love it. And when you raise your arms, it doesn't, you know, it's not bad. I love it. This is one of my favorite sweaters. This is my third Tecumseh. And I love it so much. It just makes me smile. Anyway, The second finished object, I finished the Granny Shrug, which is a free pattern on Thornberry blog. The yarn I used was Rainbow from Ice Yarns, and I used a J hook. This original pattern calls for a bulky weight yarn, and it's bulky. I just used the recipe for how to make the 6-corner start. And then I just kept crocheting it till it got to the size that I thought it would be. And actually, I stopped after a certain amount, and I think I did 3 extra rows around, because I didn't want the arm to be any bigger than this. If I kept going around and getting the good size, then this arm would have been a lot bigger, and I didn't want that. So I stopped, I bound off, and then I did around the block. I don't know if I can explain it, but I went around the bottom part, not the sleeve part, so that it would be at a good size. And it fits perfectly. I've worn it several mornings when it was 50 degrees on my way to work. I don't want to put it on because, I already got a sweater on. But it's gorgeous. I love the colors. It fits perfectly, and I love it. I would recommend it. And, the pattern is linked in the show notes if you're interested in anything like this. It's a crochet, obviously, granny square, and simple. Trust the pattern whenever you're doing this, because you wonder, but then if you fold it a certain way, you can see that it becomes a half of a cardigan, and you just continue around and around until you get the size you want, and then you sew them together. Here's my seam. If I can find it. Where is it? Right here. I used, Lord, an invisible join. Oh boy. Camera issues. I can't see where I am. There's the join. It's amazing. And with this busy yarn, there was no way that you could have one color and not let it show. But with this invisible join, you can't see the yarn that was used to sew it up. And it makes a very nice seam, and it's flat. And here's the inside. It's flat. Anyway, if you're in, look it up. Look up the invisible join. Very simple. And you do it really fast, and it has a very nice seam. Anyway, talking too much on one project. Okay. So I have started a couple new things and ignored other things that I should have been working on. The virus I did not touch, and I actually moved it from the bowl to that blue bag right there. Yeah. I also started 2 weeks ago and forgot to show you. I started a hitchhiker because I just was like, I really want a hitchhiker. I really want to work on a hitchhiker, which since last week I didn't touch it, but anyway, let me show you. Hitchhiker is a paid-for pattern on Ravelry by Martina Bem. The yarn I'm using, is a willow wheel in the colorway Cosmos. I'm using bigger yarn and bigger needles than the pattern calls for. Here's where I am. And I'm just going to knit this until I run out of yarn. The original pattern has you make 41 teeth, which is part of, has something to do with The Hitchhiker, the movie. I don't know. Or the song. I don't know. Why do I even pretend I know? Anyway, there it is. I think it will be beautiful, something to throw around your neck as the weather gets colder. Hopefully I will pick this up and knit on it more so that, yeah, we can make some progress. But that's The Hitchhiker. Can't see much. But I love this wheel, and I'm like, I need to use this. And I was having a moment where I wanted to knit a hitchhiker. And I will get back to it when I get tired of knitting sweaters. I also found a tutorial and had to start it. This is a which way fillet. It's called a blanket. It's a tutorial on YouTube by Fiber Spider. It makes this design. I love it so much. So cool. And it's so very easy. So very easy. It's linked in the show notes. You can go look at the pattern, at the tutorial. I don't need another blanket. I started out thinking I'll make a blanket, but I got to about here and I'm like, I don't really need a blanket, but I can make a poncho. So here's my idea. If you remember the poncho I crocheted a while ago, I made 4 blocks, seamed them up, and it made a poncho. So I thought this would be cool to make a poncho. So that's the plan. I'm using the recipe of and like I said, the Which Way Fillet recipe is on YouTube as a tutorial. It's a crochet pattern. The yarn I'm using is the Caron Kindness in the candy pink colorway. The hook I'm using is an I 5.5 millimeter. I'm making 4 of these. I'm planning on making the second pink one is almost done. I just got to go around one more time and it'll be done. And then I plan on making 2 more out of this purple. And if it works out, then I'm going to use this part to do the edging. So it'll be a pretty pink and purple poncho. Yay! That's that. Finally, I cast on one more thing. I cast on a sock. Now, mind you, I have 2 half-finished socks that have 1 sock made. I don't know what that is. We're just going to keep going. Life is going on around us. I'm just going to keep trying to go on. That is Pete. Somebody made a strange noise. Anyway, I started another sock. Just a vanilla sock. I started this sock, was very excited because I was making it for Crystal of Bag de Crochet. I watched one of her yarn unboxings and she talked about how, oh, someone could knit me a sock. I don't make socks, but so I was like, oh, these are perfect colors for her. And then she posted, please don't knit me socks. I was just kidding. Do not knit me socks. I wear knee socks. Don't knit me, please don't knit me socks. So this will just be a lovely pair for me if they ever get done. Like I said, I started very excitedly. This took, what I got done now, took 2 sessions. I'm just doing a vanilla sock. I did a 2x2 ribbing for 1 inch. And then I did a 3x1 ribbing for 2 inches. And then I started a slip stitch heel. I'm almost done with that part of the heel. Do the turn and then do the foot. My goal for the end of the year is to finish these 3 pairs of socks. Finish this, finish the other one, finish one of each of the other. Yeah. I didn't tell you about this yarn. This yarn is from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. I got this from her in a D-stash. Her D-stash. She was de-stashing some of her yarn that she had kept for herself and decided she wasn't going to use it. The color is Amy. It was inspired by Amy Winehouse, the colors. Pinks and browns. It's beautiful. Of course, that's why I bought it, because it's beautiful. And it's been in my stash for several years. So, I guess I'm going to have a pair of socks. If I ever get them finished. Yes, I'm making a goal for myself. Not only to finish those 3 pairs of socks, but to also finish or frog all of these whips that I have just laying around. They're driving me crazy. Anyway, spinning, I haven't touched it. The only bad thing is that I was straightening up over here and found more fluff that I didn't spin onto that the first. So I'm not really done with that first part. I gotta finish that. Haven't touched it though. What else? That's all I have to tell you. So thank you for coming and spending a few of your precious moments with me. I so much appreciate it. Please like, thumbs up, subscribe, and all that happy. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Oh my God. I forgot the most important whip. That I have right here. In my bag by Jane Wine's Design, a huge bag, and you will never believe what I actually got to fit in here. This is the Turtle Dove, which is a free pattern on Ravelry by Espace Tricot. The yarn is the anniversary cake, which actually fit in this big bag. And the sweater too. I started this last weekend when I was almost done with this. I finished one sleeve and I'm like, I'm going to cast on this. I want to do this right now. So I cast it on. And here it is. I'm probably, I don't know. I don't know how far away I'm of, if you've knit the turtle dove, it's got a really long before you separate for the sleeves. It's beautiful, and I should have enough yarn to finish it. The needles I'm using, I used a US 10 and a US 10.75. What is it? The Knitter's Pride Dreams. Yeah. 40-inch circulars. There you have it. It's going to be beautiful. And the anniversary yarn. It's lovely and squishy, but it's also splitty. So you have to be careful and mindful as you knit it that you don't split the yarn. I think it's going to be a beautiful, cozy. And I'm knitting a size medium because this sweater is very big. Sorry about that. Anyway, so now we'll end the podcast with I will see you in 2 weeks for the next episode of the Knit and Purl podcast. Bye, you guys. See? It fits.